Hey everybody, welcome to the Leader Lab. This is Leadership Shorts, quick thoughts to help you level up your leadership. My name is Chad Wright. I'm the founder of Forward Partners, and I am joined as always by my partner in podcasting and survival in the apocalypse, Emily Grace Deal. Emily, what are we talking about today?
Well, parenting.
Parenting in the apocalypse.
We've done episodes on how story helps us intentionally determine how we show up as leaders.
Mm-hmm.
How does this concept also apply to our leadership as parents?
So this idea of story determining how we see the world, I think it also determines how we act, the actions we take. And I think there were a lot of years I was guilty of this, and you'll have to chime in whether or not you're guilty of this, but I was very guilty of operating with the story that I was a bad parent.
Guilty.
And now we've opened a door that we may not have wanted to open. No, I had this story in my head that I was a bad parent. And part of it was I was growing up when my kids were growing up. We were very young parents. And so I was not always as patient as I felt like I should be. I was definitely not as patient as my dad was. And that was kind of who I was holding up as the
I also don't know if it's possible or any of us are actually capable to be as patient as we need to be with children. So our goal is always high.
Yes. But what I notice now looking back is believing the story I'm a bad parent. There's then actions that come out of that. Because if I'm a bad parent and I start to see myself losing my patience, and I could choose to do something about it, but why would I? I'm a bad parent. So let's go down that road. Let's lose the patience. Let's start yelling. Let's see how this ends, And ultimately that story of I'm a bad parent, I think held me back in a lot of ways because it also stopped me from embracing the idea that I might be a good parent. Like when you believe you're a good parent, it opens doors to, I think, peace in parenting, and it opens doors to new actions. And what's funny is our kids don't see things the same way we do, right? And Connor, my middle son, I think he was probably, 12, 13 years old at the time. And I said something about being a bad dad. And apparently this is a thing I said a lot, and I didn't realize how much I said it. And he looks at me and he goes, "Dad, you know what you're like?" And I was like, "What?" And he's like, "You're like those pretty, skinny, blonde girls at school who are like, oh, look at me, I'm so fat." They're not fat, but that's what they say. And that really hit me. I was like, oh, so I'm not a bad dad? He's like, no, you're amazing. And all my kids to this day will talk about what a good dad I was. And yet that was nothing I ever felt. And I think that story of I'm a bad parent, I'm not good at this, I'm not cut out for this, probably robbed me more than anybody.
Yeah.
And probably created a version of me that was not leading my family the way I needed to. And so I think there's something to embracing the story. Hey, we're good parents.
Yeah, I agree.
Yet it's wildly uncomfortable, right?
It is. Well, and I've got a 4 and a 6-year-old, almost 7. And it is hard when they're that age and they're doing it for the first time too. Yep. They don't actually know an example of another parent either.
That's true.
And so it's easy for you with especially right now with how many resources there are on how to be a good parent.
Yeah.
Not everyone has the same kids. Not everyone has the same history. Not everyone has the same, personality, whatever it may be. And so it's also hard to take all of that advice in and then apply what actually matters and what actually would help you, just so that you. And so I think a lot of that I'm a bad parent comes from your own brain, but also you just kind of compound it with all these other outside sources.
Yes.
And then you're like, oh yeah, that did tell me that I'm doing this wrong. Well, you're not doing it wrong. You're doing it in your way and you're learning.
Yes.
I guess you said, y'all were young and y'all were growing.
Yes.
And I think we always are learning and growing, no matter what age you have kids.
You be 60 and be a parent for the first time.
Right.
You're figuring it out as you go.
Right. Well, and even, my mom, there's 4 of me and my siblings. And my youngest sibling has a 12-year age gap.
Right.
And so even you still have to relearn how to do things the right way, You still have to learn how to parent again. So we're always going through that. We talk about it all the time that you're still learning no matter what you're doing.
Yeah.
So
well, and one of the things you said there was you got all these sources from the outside showing you what you're doing wrong, which again is if we believe the story we're bad parents, we look at the wisdom and go, see, that's proof I'm doing it wrong.
Right.
If I believe I'm a good parent, I'm going to look at that wisdom and go, oh, I should do more of that. And I think also looking at what are those sources? What is coming from outside to help you understand this? We talk about building our circle all the time. I had older dads to speak into my life to say, hey, it's going to be okay. Your kids are going to survive. Like, it's going to be fine. I promise.
Right.
I really wish I'd had parents that were like my age, and I wish we had had a good parents club to just sit around and go, hey, what's been your big win over the last week, and what's been your big challenge with your kid, right? Let's celebrate wins together, and let's look at the challenges. Have people from the outside look at it. Because I would look at something and go, lost my temper with my kids, and I yelled at them, and I shouldn't have. And somebody from the outside would have been like, yeah, tell me about the 73 other amazing things you did for them. But I didn't have that. And so I think there's something to that, building that circle out of people to help you embrace a story.
Right.
Because it's one thing to tell ourselves that internally, but when we've got external people confirming it for us, it probably becomes a lot easier.
Well, and a lot of it too, I mean, parenting is not, I yelled, so I'm a bad parent. It's, I also went to them and apologized for yelling, because they're going to lose their temper too. And then they need to know how to fix it when they do. And that applies to leadership too.
It really does. It's amazing how much of this really does apply to leadership, right? When if you believe the story that you're a bad leader, well, great. You can do things like a bad leader does. You don't have permission.
It's okay I yelled. I'm a bad leader.
Yes. And I think there's something to embracing the idea, no, I'm a good leader, and building that circle of who's going to speak into your life, who's going to help you get better at this and confirm when you're doing a good job. And so I think there's something to that. Listen,
definitely.
Wrestling with parenting is a never-ending quest. I think it's kind of like wrestling with leadership. And really, when I think about parenting and the evolution of it, as my kids have now left the house, like, it's a beautiful season. They're building their own lives, doing their own things. I've gotten a little bit of distance, and in that I found a lot more peace about my parenting, because I think I did lose my temper way too much. Like, when I was younger, I had a really hot temper, and it would happen fast. And it's called, for Enneagram 5s, it's being high strung. We can be very high strung when we're under stress. But I look at it now and go, okay, I did do the apology. Like, I really was. That's one thing I wanted to model for them. Hey, I'm going to screw this up a lot, and every single time I'm going to come sit on your bed that night, and we're going to talk about it.
Yeah.
And so I think there are those things we can hold on to, but it all goes back to that base story. What story do you believe about yourself? Do you believe you're a great parent? And in believing that, you will then take action.
Even if it feels really awkward, saying, I'm a good parent, I'm a good parent.
So this is the thing about rewriting stories, is when you rewrite a disempowered story, rewriting it is not enough. You have to tell yourself the new story over and over again, because the old story is going to pop up and your brain's going to say, you're a bad parent. No, hold on. I'm a good parent. There's nothing wrong with me. I got this.
Take the 15 minutes you need.
Exactly.
Go take a minute.
And in saying a good parent, I'm not saying I'm a perfect parent. I'm saying I'm good enough to do what I think is right, to reach out for help, to build my circle, to do all these different things to make sure I show up as a good parent. Those are the actions we would take. I think there's something to embracing that idea and then telling yourself that story over and over and over again. Leaders and parents, let's talk next steps. I promise you're doing a better job than you think. Even the fact that you are watching or listening to this, you're trying to get better as a leader. You're trying to grow, which means you're trying to be a better parent. And so we should embrace that, the idea that we are good parents, embrace that empowered story, because it's the disempowered story of I'm a bad parent holds us back. It creates actions and thinking that are no longer helpful. I'm a good parent creates new doors and new opportunities that are open to us to say, hey, we can go do things differently. Build that good parents club. Please invite me. I want to be a part of that club, quite frankly. Even as I'm parenting kids that are no longer in the house anymore, I still want to be a great dad to them. So love that idea. Emily, if people want to send us invites to their good parent club, where do they send that to?
lab@forwardpartners.net.
lab@forwardpartners.net. If they want to find us on LinkedIn, where we're putting out leadership development content all the time for free, where do they find that?
Yeah, just look for @forwardpartners.
@forwardpartner on LinkedIn. Emily, thank you for doing this. Thank you for sharing your good parenting wisdom.
Thank you.
I deeply appreciate it. John, Porchlight Productions Vineyard, thank you for being a great dad, by the way. We're recording this the day after Father's Day, and he modeled for us today what good parenting looks like with one of his daughters. It was amazing. Emily, thank you for bringing the vibes. We deeply appreciate you. And thank y'all for watching. Thank you for listening. Go forth and be good parents. We'll see you next time right here in the Leader Lab for Leadership Shorts.